get started.
Thank you so much. Apologize for the delay and the difficulties, but good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 7th meeting of the Baltimore County Police Accountability Board. We are being recorded. I want to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded, and we will follow our agenda as has been posted and sent out to everyone. We're going to begin with our roll call, and as suggested, if everyone would identify him or herself by name as we do our roll call, that would be very helpful. District 1.
That's me, Fitzpatrick, District 1.
And District 2, yours truly is present. District 3.
District 3, Ralph Dennis, present.
District 4.
District 4, Jake Chambers, present.
District 5.
Renee Streib, present.
District 6.
Vacant.
District 7.
DeShaun-Feurer, present.
And our at-large members.
Earl White, present. Sorry, Nigeria.
That's okay. Nigeria Rollingford, present.
Thank you very much. We appreciate everyone being present here today for the meeting, and we're going to move along with our agenda for item number 2. We hope that everyone had opportunity to review the minutes for the April 17th meeting, and we take a few moments for those who may have just received them. We are prepared to discuss and we'll have these meeting minutes approved as is. Is there any discussion on the meeting minutes? Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes of April 17, 2023 meeting?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the April 17th meeting as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. If there's no question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting will stand approved and accepted. We're going to move down to our administrative updates and ask that Henry would go ahead and give the discussion that he has on the 3 items under administrative updates.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. So first things first, the District 6 vacancy, the county executive has nominated Scott Richmond to fill that position. Still finalizing the council work session and vote on Mr. Richmond's confirmation, but he has been nominated and will hopefully get on board as soon as possible. That is, as a reminder, one of the 3 seats that comes up for this term expires on June 30th. Rather, that's the last day of the current term. So along with Districts 1 and 5, that would also require a subsequent confirmation vote by the council for the full 3-year term. As far as the ACC is concerned, starting with them, there is a full slate, as we discussed last meeting, of ACC members. The county executive, one of his 2 appointees, L'Oreal Moore, had to step down. Sharon Necht, who had applied for the position, was appointed in her stead. Ms. Necht was one of the applicants to the position when it was originally posted. And I know that Ms. DeShaun-Feurer completed the ACC training for the week of May 1st. The other members are actually currently in training right now, and they will be through the rest of this week. The trial board training is May 23rd through 24th of this month. So by the end of the month, by the next time we meet, everybody should be trained and ready to go well in time for July, when the ACC will begin to review complaints against police officers made by members of the public. Looking at meeting locations, I think the goal is to keep the PAB meetings in this room for the time being due to the adequate seating, more than adequate seating. The fact that while the WebEx here isn't perfect audio and visual, it is superior to the mezzanine level. The hope is that potentially that the ACC and trial board may meet across the street in the Jefferson building which has a hearing room that is more, it's more better equipped, we believe, to hear really what our case is, right? Hear complaints and hear reviews of complaints, which the ACC and trial board are required to do. It's better set up for that. So as of now, I think the hope is to move the meetings there. It's not on the agenda because it was a relatively recent update, but 1 second here. We are going to be having a speaker from one of the community groups that Ms. Nigeria Ford recommended. I'm pulling up the name of the organization at our June meeting, so you get confirmation on that. That's Nuestras Races, Inc., which represents and advocates for members of the Latinx community in the Baltimore area. So he'll be speaking to us at our June meeting in regards to the relations between the Baltimore County Police Department and law enforcement generally, and the Baltimore County and Baltimore area Hispanic community. And as a reminder, I know this is an old business, but we have been receiving public comment through our through email and our web portal in regards to the proposed amendment to the rules of procedure. So at the June meeting, those will be presented again to all members ahead of time as well. And so there certainly has been a lot of comment, which is again well received, and just want to make sure that the members of the public in attendance are aware that we're getting it, we're hearing it, and it will be passed on to the board well in advance of the June meeting for consideration. So that's all I have under administrative updates. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you very much. Any comments or questions about any of these updates? In our old business, the single item that we have here is just a reminder that the vote will take place on the amendment to the rules of procedure at our June 2023 meeting. And as Henry has mentioned, the matter did a lot of comments out. So,
Henry, can you repeat what she just said?
Just that June 26th is the vote on the amendment to expand the time of public comment from 2 to 3 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Correct me. Still haven't gotten over this thing. So, thank you so much for that. Under our new business, I did send out for your review a memo just on changes or the update on future meetings. I hope that everyone had opportunity to read that communication. We discussed, Henry and I, we met about the importance of not having meetings just to have meetings, and that we took into consideration that certainly we were holding monthly meetings from the beginning of our taking form, because we needed to get on board, we had to get everything in place, especially with regards to how we would be proceeding after we received the complaints and the information from the ACCs. Right now, we believe that we're at a place where we can proceed with having meetings quarterly, and quarterly meetings are exactly what the statute calls for, and also what our rules of procedures call for. We believe that we can now feel comfortable going forward with more substantive meetings, that the agenda items will perhaps be a greater number of agenda items, but they'll be more relevant to the work that our committee has been, assigned to do. So our monthly meetings, as I said, have been necessary so that we can get an understanding of our structure, get on board, and get our personal policies and procedures in place. But now we believe that our footing is rather firm and we can proceed. For our June meeting, we will begin having our meetings on a quarterly basis. We will have heard by then from major law enforcement agencies and the county and other groups, and that information certainly has been helpful for us to place everything in context as to what our responsibilities are as a board, and also what the community would like for us to be aware of. So in order to avoid meetings that lack clear agenda, we want to go forward with the quarterly meetings, as I said, after our June meeting. Certainly, from time to time, if there's a need to call a meeting, the chair's able to do that by statute, and certainly will take that into consideration if something comes up that we believe needs immediate attention or cannot wait, or something that we want to bring the board on board with. We certainly will entertain calling meetings in between the quarterly dates that we have scheduled. So with that in mind, our remaining scheduled meetings in 2023 will occur in September and November, and during that time in November we'll have time to gather, review annual data that will be relevant to our preparation of our annual report that's due in December, and we'll have a meeting in December as well. So,
And just to clarify, Madam Chair, that's also in addition to the June meeting, so we're still doing the June meeting as well.
yes, this is all after June meeting. I did say right. So are there any questions about that item? Great. So with that,
Let me ask a quick question.
Madam Chair, we have a question from Bishop Dennis.
Just a quick question. In as much as we have not had an opportunity yet to meet the new chief, could it possibly be that we could meet him before we go into the quarterly rotation?
Well, we're certainly trying to make sure we can find a time to meet with Chief McCullough. He's expressed a desire to do so as well.
Okay.
I can't speak to his schedule if he's available in June, or the summers are always tricky to begin with, getting everybody in a room at once, but certainly the goal is, if not before September, then ideally the September meeting, if not the September meeting in November, given his schedule and given the sort of practical realities that we have of getting everyone in this room or virtually, but that's the goal.
Okay, thank you.
thank you so much. Again, we are asking item B, has anyone scheduled or has anyone been invited to community events to speak as a member of the PAB? Any future meetings coming up? Okay. Let's move on to our period for public comment. Is there any?
Yes. Peter, if you want to come up, you can sit at the table here so that we can get quality audio.
Thank you. Peta Rickus for the record. I just wanted to clarify, on the printed agenda that was on.
Yeah, that was an error. I apologize. June 26th. June 19th is
The next meeting is June 26th.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And I did not catch the names of the new ACC members.
The new ACC member who is replacing Ms. Moore is Sharon. Last name is Knecht, Knecht. And we'll get her name posted on the website this week as well.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, Ms. Farquar.
Any other public comment?
Yes, we
Anyone
do.
else?
Yes, thank you, Chair Shields. I'm Cindy Farquar, and I live on the Lockhern side of Baltimore County. And I rise today not prepared because of
Sorry
what
about
I've
this
heard
beeping really
here.
fast. There we go. Sorry about that.
So just giving you very, very brief remarks that I might want to expand on next time. And of course, I'm sure you know that it has to do with the fact that you're deciding, and I'm not sure on what basis or what process you're using to decide to have only quarterly meetings. As you know, Police Accountability Board can do more than the bare minimum mandate. So that concerns me. And you say that your footing is firm before you have reviewed a single police complaint. So I think you're speaking not from experience, but rather from hope, blind hope. that your footing is firm. I can't see that you know that. And this other thing that you said was that we have heard from major law enforcement groups and that we will know what the community would like us to be aware of. So how? How will you know what the community would like you to be aware of when you haven't heard from the community? We can meet if something comes up in between quarterly, and I feel as if we as your advocacy group are doing our job better, we'll have things that could come up. We'll have people that want to speak to you. We'll have people that may feel they were left out of the complaint process, and they want to have public comment to you on that level, rather than just what's coming to you through the complaint pipeline. So again, you're not allowing for public comment. So I'll curtail it at this moment, because obviously my underlying concern is transparency, but I think I would probably save that to when I prepared a little bit better for that part. So I thank you very much for listening to me today.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not certain that I heard you clearly. I would like to address what I did hear clearly and make sure I'm clear on what your comments included. We have not excluded, we have not determined that we will not hear from future groups, interest groups, public groups, and other law enforcement groups.
Oh, Madam Chair, you cut out for a second there.
We're not saying that we will not continue to hear from, and we welcome other groups to express interest to come before us. We do that. And we encourage those of you who want to.
Oh, your Ms. Shields, your cell phone signal's beginning to cut in and out.
I'm sorry. But I did want to be clear on, I wasn't clear on what the speaker was saying regarding me making presumptions or things of that nature. That wasn't clear to me.
Thank you for the question. If you only have meetings quarterly, you're certainly maybe not eliminating the chance that at some point in the far future you would have a community group. Now, I understand that Ms. Rollingford's group is going to be speaking in June. I get that. But then if you don't have a meeting until September, you're not going to have anybody in July, and you're not going to have anybody in August. So there are a lot of community groups in Baltimore County. And when do you want to get up to speed with this very point? What the community would like us to be aware of? When do you intend to get up on speed on? And why did you decide? Why did you decide? This is not even my question. This is the group's question, but I bring it to you because I'm up here with you.
The decision to go forward with quarterly meetings, as was stated, is because that we believe that now that we have met every month and we are in a position to be prepared to fulfill the mandates of the statute, which require quarterly meetings, because our mandate is to review the outcomes of the discipline and make the appointments to the PAB and the ACC. We, again, are not stating that we won't have other meetings. We are, again, encourage groups to make known to us groups that they want to bring before us or other interest groups to come before us. So we're not excluding that. We're just saying that at this point that we want to go forward and have more substantive meetings in compliance with the statute and our own regulations.
Get an opportunity to make public comment, but if you want to make public comment going forward, certainly future meetings.
I have a question.
Well, I think that would have been covered in 2 minutes. But again,
She said something that I wonder about.
like,
Like, who is we?
Coming up. Ms. Shields can address that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Ms. Shields, who is we? Who is we? We decided.
I met with the administrative chair of our group and so our executive, and that's the we I'm speaking of.
So you and Henry Callegary?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in public comment.
Thank you for your interest. Is there anyone else? Any other public comment waiting?
Ms. Rickus.
Thank you again. Peta Rickus speaking, Chair Shields. I just wanted the board to be aware that, as best I can determine, the police complaint data on
Sorry. I'll work to fix that going forward so it doesn't make a beeping noise.
the police complaint data on the police crime dashboard has not been updated since '22. And I brought this to Rebecca's attention. She hasn't been able to get back to me. But surely this board deserves more current information than that, and so does the public. So I would encourage the board to monitor the dashboard for the information that you feel will be most helpful to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not seeing any further hands up from the public.
We'll go to our final item. I believe that the date for the meeting has been corrected and that our next meeting will be held on June 19, 2023.
June 26th, Madam Chair.
Oh, it's June.
26.
Yes, yes.
Oh, it's
Apologies.
26.
Yes, June 19th is the
Holiday.
Juneteenth
Okay.
holiday weekend. So
Okay, we have, okay, let's see.
And we did take that into account. Thank
Yep.
you.
and that'll get posted. The next meeting will get posted this week. I'll work with IT to get that up.
Okay.
That's it. Is there a, no further business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
May I just make an observation before we make the motion?
Sure.
In as much as this is somewhat of a emerging board, we are in our infancy, are we not to assume that as this board evolves, that there will be, I'm trying to think how the right way to word this, that we will be evolving and there will be some changes made in some of the current statutes of who we are, what we do, how regularly we meet, and et cetera. And I'm sort of bouncing off of the concerns of the community here, because I mean we're just getting started.
Sure.
Matter of fact, we haven't literally gotten started, really, technically. But as that happens, I guess wisdom says that we will probably be making some changes in what the expectations of a board like this might even be.
And I can speak to that, Bishop. I think that the one of the critical roles of the PAB, as acknowledged by statute, is the annual report each year.
Yeah.
And Chair Shields noted there would be sort of an additional meeting in November to go over and begin preparation for that. I think any sort of proposed changes this board has to the statute, that's an opportunity to put pen to paper as to any recommendations, whether they be statutory, procedural, et cetera, going forward as to the PAB, but also more broadly speaking, that's the discretion and one of the chief mandates of the PAB.
Great, awesome. I thought so. All right.
I think Ms. Ford would like to comment.
Yes.
Hi. So just a couple, maybe not a couple, but maybe one thing. So I understand the responsibilities that our Madam Chairwoman has, as well as Mr. Callegary. But I am concerned because I feel as though everyone else on the board should have had some type of a conversation in regards to us moving over to having quarterly meetings. And I would just hope that when we make substantive changes like that, that the full board could be consulted.
So just to restate that, since I think the chair had a hard time saying that, Ms. Rollingford indicated her concern that the meeting schedule was changed without a board consultation. I can point to the bylaw, the rules of procedure that were adopted by this board via vote do state that the board will hold quarterly meetings except when the chair calls additional meetings. And so essentially up until this point, Madam Chair had called meetings on a monthly basis. And now there's, again, or she laid out the schedule that calls them on a quarterly basis outside of the additional meeting in November.
Okay, so then as a follow-up to that, do we have any comments that have come in electronically or in writing from the community that have not been disseminated to board members?
The only additional comments are in regards to the amendment for the vote, which are going to be sent over, along with noting the members of the public who supported in person the additional change. Those will be sent over today to the full board, since that could be the June vote. But there's a few emails that will get sent over.
Okay, so then I guess that did say a couple of questions, right? So I guess my concern is that if we're not going to have monthly meetings, which kind of for me gave us an idea to figure out what was pending or what was going on. If they're now going to be quarterly, is there some sort of a schedule to where questions or concerns or things of that nature are disseminated to the board prior to the meeting, the next quarterly meeting? In other words, how are we going to be kept abreast as to what's going on in the background?
Sure. I'm happy to forward those on if they deal with kind of board business. You know, if there's a request for additional information or a meeting, I can certainly forward those on to the PAB as a whole. Obviously, you know, that in this case, the only comments we received are as to the amendment vote, which is not until June 26th. But I'm happy to forward additional concerns and emails to the board as a whole.
Okay, thank you for that commitment.
And we have a comment from Kara as well.
All right, sure.
Yeah, so I appreciate Nigeria's statements, because I think we saw a similar discussion that was not done with the board around the 2-minute window for public comment. That was never discussed among any of us other than when it was brought to us as an option, or as a change that has been made prior in that date. The other thing, my only other concern is if we do a June meeting, we don't the union still has power. If we do a July, I feel like we have to do a July meeting, because that is the beginning of when we actually start getting reports. So July 1st is our initial. So that's where I'm just yeah.
Great concern. And not to keep jumping in to clarify points here, July is when the Administrative Charging Committee begins hearing complaints. I think it's important to clarify that that is, and really the PAB per statute reviews the outcome of complaints. So I don't necessarily know if there's gonna be a one-to-one. I can't speak to the number of complaints and whether or not there will be any that the ACC hears in July that would be resolved and therefore shared with the PAB. But that's just a sort of a clarification as to the timeline here.
So I guess this is Nigeria again. My hand was up, but I didn't want to just overspeak. So I guess in summary, I think what we're hearing from board members is that we are interested in doing not the bare minimum. And we want to make that clear to the community. If and when additional meetings are deemed necessary, anything, and we just don't want to come across as if we're doing the bare minimum. We are willing to meet and do whatever is necessary to make this board run the way that it's supposed to.
I just need clarification on not being able to hear the full comments, but I hear not doing the bare minimum, or I'm really not clear on.
I mean, because even if we go back to the idea of having people only speak for 2 minutes, I mean, I forget the woman's name, and I apologize, who spoke for 2 minutes. She could barely get across what it was she wanted to say. The only reason she was able to clarify is because we then proposed a question clarifying what she initially said. So even that, for me personally, I feel like that is the bare minimum to give someone only 2 minutes to speak.
I feel really disconnected here because I cannot hear the full comments. Henry, can you?
Sure.
That's fine. I can submit my concerns in writing if that's helpful.
And those will be transmitted, just rolling forward to the board, as Madam Chair, of course.
Okay. I'll do that.
And looks like Mr. Chambers has a comment as well.
Sure. Mr. Chambers? And I'm calling on that, but that's just so that Ms. Shields can hear who's speaking.
Yes, I'm gonna be real brief. I just want us as a board, I employ the community to also understand our mission, because we are coming across, and it appears to me that some of the concerns that we're getting from the community, it takes us and puts us in this position where we lose sight of what our mission is. So I understand that we need to hear from the community and hear their concerns, but if they're concerns that doesn't have anything to do with the PAB, then we need to forward them to the people that need to be able to help them. And I just want the community to understand that as well. I believe in being open. I believe in us, being transparent to the community, and also in a position where we can, be open to them and be able to answer their questions. But it appeared to me that some of the concerns that we get has nothing to do with what we're doing. I just don't want us to lose sight of our mission, handling cases or handling situations that doesn't, apply to what we're doing. That's all I have.
Mr. Fitzpatrick has a comment as well.
I would just add that I support additional meetings as well.
I'm still new enough to take it all in.
Okay, that just, Madam Chair, that was just Mr. Fitzpatrick echoing the desire for additional meetings.
I'm sorry, Henry.
It was just Mr. Fitzpatrick echoing the desire for additional meetings. Anyone else?
No.
All right. Thank you, Lisa.
All righty. That being it, I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting until our next scheduled meeting on June the 26th, here in room 118 at this historic courthouse building.
I'll second it.
Yep.
So properly moved in second, and if there is no objection, then meeting stands adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Shields,